Gary, we've been working together for quite a while now.
Yes, we
a number of years.
Yes, we have.
And as I was saying earlier, it's been a journey. Starting when you originally came to us with a site that wasn't performing, wasn't ranking, and didn't represent visually what you were wanting to go. Your values weren't represented online. I'd like if you could just say a few words, if you don't mind, just to communicate what that journey's been like. What's different about the way that we handle things versus other firms that you've worked with for design, marketing, SEO, etc.
Well, David, I asked you, we just had a meeting, and I asked you to do this video in part because I have a tremendous amount of gratitude for the work that you and your people and your company have done in partnership with me and my business and my law firm over the past 4-ish years. And so to answer your question, I have been in a business that does marketing for 25 plus years. And whenever you're in business, you kind of like trying to find a lawyer in battles. You don't know who's good and who's not, and who is all talk and no substance, or who's the opposite. And I find you and your people to be the opposite. You're understated. You don't overpromise and underperform. You're the exact opposite. You don't overcharge for results. You don't sit and give a big thing about here's what you're going to have and da 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 da. You sit there and you give me clear advice. You give me clear estimates of what's going to happen. You give me clear budgets. You do it, and then the results always, without exception, exceed what you promise. And that, in my experience, is the exact opposite of what I see in the other marketing, SEO, web design world. And I also happen to, and I don't want to long answer your question, but I talk to a lot of other people in my business, and it's something we always talk about. And we're always talking about, I call them the marketing vultures out there in the world.
Yeah.
Overpromise and underperform, and a bunch of show, and then you're paying
exorbitant fees for pretty much nothing.
But yeah, what you're going to CEOs or this overpaid, this person pays, rather the people who are doing the coding of the work and stuff, and and you're doing the work, and so there you go. The other great thing about working with you is you're a true marketing partner. You listen to me. I sit there. Sometimes I joke with you about how much I write or I give you input, right? But I know my business, and if you're good, you know your business, and you know your business too. But between the two of us, we found a balance of me giving you my input as well as you doing all the other stuff you do too. And you have better ideas than me sometimes, and I listen to them, and so it's a good collaborative work too.
Well, I think you really touched on that word, like partnership, and it has to be, because I can't really do my job well if I don't know your desires and intentions. When you come to me and say, hey, I'm trying to get this new case type off the ground, or there's a new thing that you want to target in order to help people, I have to really step back and take that time and understand, okay, well, how am I going to reach people in the proper way while representing the way that you would communicate that, because I'm like the catalyst. You feed all the information, and then I have to figure out, hold it, and then figure out how to correctly populate it. So I appreciate, that you can communicate your ideas well, and at least give me something to go off of, because the less clear the instruction is, obviously the less clear the result's going to be. So and again, going back to just the journey, I am extremely. My job is made greater in my own satisfaction, I think, in everybody here, when we see someone that comes in here and we've finally been able to obtain that trust, because we do fight for it. It's an important thing that if we're spending 30, 40, 50 hours a month trying to get all this stuff to rank, and it does, and then I see, we're adding a new person to the site, right? Or we just got a really big settlement that likely came from organic or a paid traffic source or something that we were responsible for. I mean, that's just the greatest thing, because we can now we have the opportunity to say, hey, here's some new things that we've been thinking of, enabled and are able to further that success while you're able to grow your business at the same time. So again, it's a partnership. It's not just I'm paying somebody for marketing and SEO, that you see in these base keyword terms that people throw around, these buzzwords to generate attention versus generating revenue.
I get that. Great. And I think I have 3 points. I get an email every day.
Every day.
At least someone trying to say, I'm going to do this for, I'm going to do this for. I mean, it's crazy the amount of vultures that are out there that want this business, and they'll never get it from, you have a loyal customer here. But you've earned
that. Yeah.
You have. I mean,
we've worked hard to earn that.
Right. I was just going to say, exactly. And, the other thing is you'll also, what I've liked is you'll try something. You say, Gary, great to do it. Let's try this. And then you find out, and then you come to me and say, it's not working, or I tweaked this, or I did this, or I did this, or I did this.
Let's start at 200 rather than 2,000.
And you do it. And right. I've had many other companies over before I met you and stuff. And I have had marketing meetings where I've sat with people and they said, this doesn't work. And I say, how long hasn't it worked? And I find out I've been paying them for 6 months or a year and no one came to me and said, we need to adjust. So you're always adjusting because life changes. Your business changes. It's crazy how quick stuff changes. But you're always there changing it. You're cheap with my money and I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I am, well, not just myself, but everyone here. We are cheap with your money. And it's like, well, like I said, if I can spend 200 before spending 2,000. Okay, so we spent 200, this happened. So therefore, this either is going to work if we scale it up, or it's not because we just wasted. Well, we didn't waste 200. We found out, we paid 200 to find out that this wasn't going to waste more.
And I do the same thing with my clients. I tell them, saying, I'm cheap with my money, I'm going to be cheap with your money. I do the same thing, and so I appreciate that. And the other thing that anybody who may watch this needs to know is that the SEO and the marketing you do for me and my firm is in an area of one of the most competitive areas, the highest priced keywords, the toughest to SEO and move up with domain authority in the nation, in the area. St. Louis, our area, our metropolitan area, is a very competitive market.
It's very saturated.
You've gotten amazing success against the biggest competitors, both in terms of people who I compete with and people you compete with. We're ranked where we want to be. We're in the top 3 in all the pages we want to be.
Well, and
top page.
And we're not satisfied. Just in our meeting earlier today, it's like, here's where you're at, but here's what we did to further that. We did this one thing, this obtained this, so therefore we know this works. Again, in the organic sense versus paid sense, let's double down, let's triple down, let's see how further we can push this. And one thing that I think that we share is, you had made this video that said you don't like bullies, well, I don't either. So when I go up against, some other local marketing companies or even other law firms, because when you get to that point, especially in that top section of Google, and I've said this before, it's not against a lawyer versus a lawyer. It's a marketing company versus a marketing company, and who really is putting the best efforts in place. It's been a pleasure, working with your firm and seeing that transition over time to being one of the power players. And I, it's a satisfaction for me because I was involved in that journey. I've been, as you say, through the $200, $2,000 calls, or I've been through, this particular campaign that we tried, it didn't work, but then when we tried it a different way, it excelled. It's been a really, I think, a fun, just from a professional standpoint, a fun and satisfactory journey. Because we've grown the process, we've been able to grow your business, and just from a business standpoint, growing the revenue of the firm and helping you to put people in place so that you can have more cases, so you can absorb more volume. I don't look at it as how can I get Gary to more successful so that we can charge more. It's more like, well, if I get Gary this, he's going to spend more because he sees where his money's going. It's not about just looking at it from a number perspective. And
I was going to say that is, not to pat myself on the back, but I consider myself a savvy consumer of your services because I am always I hone my talents as a lawyer, but I'm always reading about marketing, and I'm doing this. I send you these texts and emails. Yep. Did you see this? Is this real or not? And you're sending, no, it is, or it may be. Yeah. And so I'm always being very careful. And I look, and when I first started, when I came to you, I said, I had this other company and they didn't do squat and they overcharged me, and I just wrote, if you remember when I was writing all the pages on WordPress on my own site.
I absolutely remember
and
that.
I was spending all night when I started this deal, ready to restart my business like 4 years ago, right around now. Yeah. I was putting in pages and pages of my own content and doing it. I just couldn't do it anymore. And you're like, you're doing that? I go, yeah.
Yeah, so, it's odd, yeah. But it's not uncommon, but I don't think that's obviously it's not the most efficient way to do it, but I think.
No, but my point is that I think that my loyalty, I'm a smart consumer. I know, I've been in WordPress, I know how to, I've done a little bit of it. I don't do it like you do it, but I know what actions speak louder than words, and your action, you're not all words, and you back it up. And that's proven time and time again over years, and you're always honing your craft too. You're always coming, Gary, this is the latest thing, or I'm not sure Google's going to do this, but I think in a year or 18 months, such and such is going to be important.
Sure. Well, when we first started talking about mobile first, that when we saw that transition going from desktop to mobile, and it started making a big, it used to be 40-60, and all of a sudden it was like 70-30, and that transition happened. It's like, well, let's look at the mobile version. What are people seeing? And what we try to do is just make sure that I don't focus always on what I want to do and what you want to do, but also what do people expect? If they go to an attorney's site and they say, I've been hurt, or I have a problem, there's something that's going on in my life that I've been affected by something, this helps me. Therefore, it makes me want to contact this person. It's easy to get in touch with you in a way that, whether they decide to call or email, we make that process really simple. But visually through photo shoots and just making sure that we represent the quality, that we eliminate the question of should I, and it kind of becomes like, why shouldn't you?
And it's working. My phones are ringing. My internet traffic's great. It's I always laugh. Other marketing companies stuff. We're going to give you this impression or these impressions.
Those old impressions, yeah.
But that's not getting my phone to ring, and my phone's ringing, and we're busy as heck. We've grown a lot. And and not to come back to partnership, but it is because and the other thing is I have one thing that you help and you're very generous with is you help me focus my marketing energy. So I'm sitting here going, I write a lot. I do a newsletter every week. I'm like, what should I write about? What kind of videos should I do? What should I put my energy and time in so I don't feel like it's wasted? And so I feel a direction because we only have so many hours in a day. And so you and your staff assist me with focusing my marketing energy and what things. And you've said to me, Gary, that ain't going to work. And sometimes I ignore you, but most of the time I listen. And you're right. And so you have good instincts on this, and you back it up with the hard work. So I appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate the words, and we were talking about like just the videos and stuff like that. Focusing the energy, like what we've been trying to do recently, just in our most recent thing with creating quality videos. Let's not use a poor quality system to do this. Let's use like a multi-camera setup, enhanced audio, to where people understand you and are able to absorb what you're saying in a more effective way. And again, you just don't see that a lot. There's not a lot of people that do that, and I'm happy to make a new thing available and also make that affordable. Every time we sit down, it's not $1,000 to do a video. It's whatever the time is involved in editing, but the end result, where we can put that in different places, I feel it's really worth it to help the consumers understand. This is where Gary Berger's coming from. This is his level of quality and his commitment to you. You talked about your pages. The fact that you were sitting there writing your pages is such a level of dedication to getting something done. And I feel like it was a smooth transition to where we were able to do that for you.
We've done a lot so video has changed a lot. And so you're adapting with the video, and we've redone a lot of our how we talk, how we write our pages and our ads because voice searches versus typing in searches.
Yeah.
We're doing a lot of, so I appreciate that we're always, it seems to me like we're always trying to adapt how you're putting my business out there to make it as efficacious as it can be for people searching. So we're not only SEOing well, we're not only PPCing well, doing all the other stuff we're doing, we're also making it to be a good user experience or an easy, facile user experience to close, to get clients. Well, and to help and teach people too.
Sure, and we just want to make sure that, you know, the ranking stuff is important in every aspect, but, you know, we've talked about this multiple times, like how people search. You know, you just mentioned like the voice search. It's like, well, somebody might not know what they need. Yeah, and they're going to search for that completely differently. You know, even when you're buying, you know, electronics, you talked about buying your laptop. You probably didn't just, you know, best laptops of 2019. You kind of went about it and you weren't sure what you were looking for at the time until you came across something that pointed you in the right direction. And, you know, I don't really think it's any different when you're hiring somebody for a service versus shopping for something that when you're in the first part of that journey. So, you know, we try to make sure that we're not just looking at it in black and white. You know, okay, AdWords, Facebook, organic, sure. Everybody, you know, admittedly can do that to some degree. You know, but those spaces in between. You know, if I don't know if I need a lawyer or not, well, maybe we can convince you if you do or don't, and not waste your time or introduce you to someone that didn't know where to go. So that's been an awesome journey for us to. I think we're almost all certified paralegals now after being involved on the site, after all the content.
Right, you guys write well. And you know, in terms of the journey for people who may be watching this who aren't customers of yours yet, just so they know, the experience of the journey is, and to take two words, the journey in black and white, and what you do and your team does, you say, here's our plan. You give it to me in black and white. We have a plan. We have a long Google Doc. We sit and go through it. We've had many meetings. I want this. I don't want this. Let's rank this here. How are we doing over time? You explain to me this is not going to happen tomorrow, Garrett. We're going to do this now. Google's going to crawl it now. You're going to see the effects of this then, and it's true, and you're right. And so we can track these over time. And the other thing you put in black and white is you'll sit and we'll come to these meetings. You'll say, we just did it. Here's what we did, and here's the effect, and here's where we're moving up in these ranks. Here's what we're doing, and it is what it is. And so,
well, if it's not to our taking too, we definitely have things in place to keep the needle moving.
No, you do. We're always doing stuff. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that we see a plan in black and white, and then we see the results in black and white. So I'm able to track that and able to see that we will get results.
Well, I thank you for that. You know, you talked about like the impressions-based stuff, and it's like that. It seems like that's all anyone wants to sell.
It doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't, right? It doesn't do anything because if you're sitting there paying for impressions, I mean, it doesn't convert to anything. It's just a metric to where the marketer can validate the spend, but you really can't in the real world because that didn't convert or that didn't. You know, I saw my impressions go up, but my traffic didn't, or I saw my traffic go up, but my conversions didn't. So you didn't earn anything for what you were spending, and you know that's why when we put these things together. We want to make sure that they work. You know, it doesn't do me any good to sell you something one month and not have you come back the next. You know, or definitely to create a level of distrust. You know, if I recommend something, you know, Lord knows we've spent hours researching if it's actually something before you even get the email. It's like, hey, are you sure? Are you really sure? Okay, before I send this email, are you sure? And by one more thing, check again because I'm getting ready to send it, just to make sure that it's the ultimate quality that we can.
So, yeah, exactly. And, you know, impressions it's exposure, it's getting your name out there. I'm not totally discounting it because, I mean, that is one metric.
Sure.
But I've had plenty of videos where it has X impressions of it. I'm like, I know no one really looked at that video because it didn't move the needle or stuff. So, but it's important to have it's important for you to teach me and for me to know what information I need to know. There can be a whole mass of information results and you can overwhelm me, but I need to know what the key stuff is that matters so that we can effectively market, because I need to spend my time being a lawyer, not being website and SEO specialist like you are.
Sure, and I think that just being able to cut it down to, like you said, here's what I'm thinking, here's an email, or here's a phone call, so that I have the time to understand what you have going on. It's definitely beneficial on my side, because I always, again, going back to that partnership word, I need to know where you're at and what you're thinking. And I appreciate that you bring those questions to us first. It's like that we've been able to gain that level of trust and respect over the years, but earning it. Not just freely being given it.
Right, and just like your business changes, my changes. So what we're doing is we're always trying new things, new ideas, trying to do this and that. And I appreciate your being flexible with us and how we're trying to change our business.
So do you mean your 11 p.m. emails?
Yes, yes.
And I respond to it at 11:30 p.m.
Yeah. And the other thing you do is when I get busy on other stuff, you move things up in my inbox and say, hey, you didn't do this yet, you didn't do this yet.
By the way, I still need an answer.
Yeah, you do that. And so you remind me gently when I'm not getting back to you. Sometimes I inundate you, but sometimes I get busy on other stuff and I need to. Like today, we met for about an hour and a half or so, or almost 2 hours, and we're caught up on everything. So we're good. Thanks a lot for all your work, David. I appreciate it.
Not a problem.
All right.
It's a pleasure.
Orange Design, hire them. Thank you.
Thanks, Gary.
Yep.